Hi ladies and gentlemen, can't be there today, so I thought I'd make this quick screencast explaining once again just what is expected of you for this infographic assignment. So in total, you will be given 2 classes to work on it. So depending on which group you're in, you'll either see me or you won't. Either way, the infographic will be needed to be submitted to me when I get back from Cebu. So that will be the week of October 6th. So that gives you plenty of time. However, like I said, you'll only receive 2 class periods and then it'll become homework. The other classes will be spent with the supply teacher doing different things related to sustainability. Now, I'm not going to spend time going over this. You all have access. However, you are geared towards answering this question. How is Singapore managing its waste and recycling over time? So as we know, we are very much in a linear economy, which means we are extracting resources, making them into what we want, but oftentimes then wasting them. So we need to figure a way that our waste can be used and not just landfill. So this is a big challenge. So we're going to see how Singapore is doing along the way. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over this. You can read about it. The one thing I will draw your attention to is how I'll mark it. One way is you will need to analyze the data, and the data is provided below, and the data is to show you how Singapore is managing its waste and recycling over time. I'll say that hopefully for the last time there. The other thing is using CARP in order to create your infographic. The other document that hopefully you have already been working on is the actual planning sheet. So this lays it out pretty succinctly what you need to be doing. One thing again, if you want to check out Mr. Plowman's example on Japan, he kept it nice and simple. Remember, you don't need to use 1 million data points. As well, you can work through it. So the data that is for how Singapore is working well with the recycling of its waste, areas of improvement, and then any conclusions. Second page, crafting thesis statements. Remember, a thesis should be just one sentence and it brings it all together. The thesis is based off of what you have found. You do not create the thesis first. As well, I will allow you to read through in order for you to get the expanding. So it says here what you need. One of the things that I want to take some time to explain is what this data is saying. So I'm not going to interpret it for you, but I will walk you through it. So I think that the biggest picture, and that's what I'll call it, this is the big picture chart. So this is how Singapore is performing over the last 13 years from 1999 to 2013. So it says in 1,000 tons. So whatever you need to do is you would just take this number or any of these numbers and times it by 1,000. So for example, this number, 2,792, actually becomes 2,792,000 tons. And when it says refuse, we're just talking about waste. So in 1999, you see there is this amount of waste, this amount, so 2,036,000 was incinerated or burned. And then the total amount that was put into the landfill was 75,600. Okay? What's important is how do these numbers change with time? So from 1999 to 2013, what is the trend? What direction is these numbers going, more or less? So yes, you'll notice that there are some ups and there are some downs, but what is the overall trend? Same for the amount of the refuse or garbage that's been incinerated. Is it going up? Is it going down? What's the trend? Same thing for the landfill. Is it going up? Is it going down? What's the trend? So again, I would say that this is the big picture. Then the following charts you'll notice, so this one is for 2009. This one, and I apologize for this should be down. This is 2013. And then in this chart, it is 2001, 2012. And I think the numbers that really matter here is the recycling rate. So what I'm going to do, and I did not include this here, and maybe I should have, but what I did is I just did it by hand, because what we're going to now look for is what Singapore is doing well at and what Singapore is not doing so well at. So what I did, I've created this chart just by hand. So like I said, there are 4 years where the data is provided. So 2001, 2009, 2012, 2013. So for example, and so I've gone ahead and I've decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to look at construction debris. So in 2001, 85% of the construction debris was recycled. So just so you see where I got that, so 2001, that number came from here. So it's right here, 85. And then later, 98%. So I think that that is here, construction debris, 98%. One of the interesting facts too is on the one chart here, here, it also tells you what the goal was. So for construction debris, it was 90. And so they beat it by 9%, which is interesting. You might want to look for cases where they weren't able to hit their goal. So anyways, overall, I've created this. So 85, 98, 99, 99. So the first question I think you should ask is, what's the overall trend? I think here it's pretty clear. There seems to be an upward trend, and in some cases, they're actually bettering what they predicted. Good or need improvement? Again, I think that's pretty clear in the case of construction debris. So I would go ahead and so the connected data for what's working, I would put this. This is the construction debris. And then conclusions from the data, I think it's pretty clear that they started from a low of 85%, and now in 2013, they are recycling 99% of the construction debris. And I think too, it's a fair question to ask, is this data reliable? It's coming from Singapore, so I'd like to believe that they have an honest and transparent government, but that does seem like a very sneaky high number. To get the expanding, and if you're using construction debris, you could take these questions a bit further. So how is it being recycled? So we know it's 99%, but how? Why aren't they recycling more of it if they aren't? So this one wouldn't apply, but it would if it fell into this improvement section. And then how are other countries doing it? Again, so for example, if this number was, say, 50%, are there countries that are doing 100%? And if they are, how are they doing it? So these are things that I would look at in considering whether your infographic and information is really up at that quality of the expanding. So one of the things, so I would consider this all together, even though you've used 4 pieces of data, I would consider this one piece of data. So that would go, once again, like I said, that would go into this section of what's working well. So you might find one other working well, and then you might also you want to look at what's not working so well. So you will have to go back to this data and you'll have to see what's not working so well. And then from there, you would create your infographic. So one of the things I wouldn't be too worried about is, yes, construction debris. You do not need to connect this to something else. I wouldn't worry about it. You are trying to tell the most complete story possible. One other thing that I might ask you to consider is, even though a number might be low and stay fairly low, is the trend upward? So even though they maybe started at 5%, if over the years they've moved up to 20%, my question might be, is that good or is that bad? So I hope this has helped you out a little bit, but what I do recommend, go over the data carefully. I would by hand create something like this so you can see it. So I wouldn't use construction debris. We've already used it. There's lots of other data for you to use. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to email me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great class. Good luck.